As Harvard University celebrates its 375th year, Harvard Magazine went into Harvard Square to ask some small business owners who had been in the square for generations to reflect on how the neighborhood had changed since the university's last milestone in 1986. In the heart of the square, Cardullo's has, since 1950, been a gourmet food shop and deli, offering gift baskets, teas, chocolates, and sandwiches. Sisters Francesca and Donna Cardullo are the third generation to run the family business, which once included the famous Worst House restaurant that closed in 1992 after almost 4 decades.
Over the past 25 years, there has been a great change in Harvard Square. In the 90s, we saw more of these corporate stores coming in, Abercrombie and Fitch and the Gap and CVS and stores like that. And now over the recent years, there's been a trend towards independently owned stores and family businesses, and I think the square is really regaining its uniqueness. I see a change. I feel as if Harvard Square has really been cleaned up. We don't have the skinheads that we had in the 70s hanging out. I feel like there are more savvy customers, younger consumers are coming in, and Harvard Square has always been international, so we still have that. Cardullo's has been open now for 61 years, and my sister and I are the third generation to own and run the store, and it's a privilege to be here right in the heart of Harvard Square.
Since 1954, the Lee family has owned the Hong Kong, a Chinese restaurant with a comedy studio, lounge, and dance floor upstairs.
Family-owned businesses in Harvard Square are probably dwindling, but then on the other hand, you have a lot of places that are opening up in the square that are single proprietors or small family-owned businesses. Grafton Street Group, they came here in the mid-90s, and they've done a fabulous job. They now, I think, have 4 places in the square, and it's just an example of a small business that has grown and done well in Harvard Square. It's always very sad when some of the places that have been here for many years, when they close, it's almost like a loose-knit family, and you're almost losing part of the family when a small family shop closes up.
The Hong Kong, which began as a single dining room, has grown and changed with the times.
We did dancing on the weekends, and we also did comedy, and that started back in the early 90s, I believe, like 1993.
The restaurant once had a beer drinkers club, stressing variety.
Even like the late 80s, mid to late 80s, early 90s, and what you had to do is we had 69 different types of beers from around the world, and you had to finish that within 3 months. So you had a card, you'd come in, you'd order, they'd punch that specific brand, and you had, like I said, you had 3 months to finish it. And then after you finished it, you would get a plaque on the wall, and your own mug, and a T-shirt. Probably the fastest someone finished, I think, was 7 days.
Grendel's Den is a restaurant and bar that has looked out on this small park since 1971. Kari Kulzer is a second-generation owner.
The real difference now in Harvard Square is that there's a lot more dining versus shopping retail, and what shopping retail there is more boutique-y clothing shops, etc. And I don't know if that's necessarily because Harvard Square has changed. I think that generally the landscape of retail in modern society has changed a lot. You don't need record stores anymore. And I think for a long time there have been sort of a steady decline in the amount of sort of day-to-day sort of household needs stores. Like there used to be a department store in Harvard Square, there used to be a Woolworths in Harvard Square. There used to be shops that sort of just dealt in like little things that you might need on a day-to-day basis. Now pretty much if you need any of that stuff, you need to go to Dixon's Hardware. They're the only ones left, and if they weren't here, I don't know what I'd do.
Kari recalls finding an old magazine article on Harvard Square.
And it was written by a Cambridge resident who was talking about growing up in Harvard Square in the 20s. And this was written in like the 50s. And all he could say the whole time is, it ain't like it used to be. and this is gone, and we used to have this place, and now that's not there anymore. And I thought, wow, it really hasn't changed. I mean, because people are still saying these same things. People are saying, you know, this store used to be there and it's not anymore. And I'm like, well, you know, if everything changes, one thing that will never change about Harvard Square is that the people here are always going to say it ain't like it used to be.